Hi, I'm Kathy with Canyon Walker Connections, and my intention is making this video is to give you a directly opposing view as the one presented in this book, A Queer Thing Happened to America by Michael Brown. And look at that cover. Check out that cover. Would you pick that cover up and give this to a gay person? So it's been intended that that would be one of the target markets of this. I want to give you a directly opposing view about the gay community that's been presented in this book. Wisely, nobody picked it up to publish it, so this book was self-published earlier this year in 2011. And it's such a divisive book, and it's so horribly slanted against the gay and the transgender community. Michael Brown believes he wrote this book in compassion and love with 6 years of work, of crying over this work. Well, I can tell you that there were times when I read this book that it saddened me so deeply that a Christian would write such fear-based, manipulative statistics against an entire class of people. That doesn't seem to me to be a Jesus sort of love, but I have to honor the fact that he says he wrote it in love and compassion. I didn't sense that when I read the book. At any place in the book did I read anything about a loving and compassionate view, and never did I even read a suggestion of how to engage the gay community, the trans community. It was all just targeted statistics and just this horrible picture and painting of what the future will be like, what the gay community is trying to do to this country. I have over 10 years of experience within the GLBT community, most of it in the gay Christian community, so I get it. I have lots of stories. I've been into lots of conferences. I've interacted with the gay community. I've done my own Bible studies within the 5 to 7 verses within the Bible that are used against the gay community. So I get this entire difficult dialogue area. But I can also tell you that what I read in this book, very inaccurate on Dr. Brown's part. I'm going to go through a couple of chapters that really bothered me. There were 3 or 4 chapters that were filled with, there's 15 chapters in this book. The first one is 30 pages in chapter 1 on the stealth gay agenda. And we are presented with this six-fold plan of the gay community to essentially destroy Christianity and marriage and God in this country. And it's all based, well, it's based on this book called After the Ball that was published in, I think, 1972. And I have never met a gay person that's read this book. And when you even Google search this book, the only people that ever refer to it are conservative groups and conservative Christian groups. And you would think that if this were such a foundational piece to the gay movement, that somebody would quote it. It's kind of become it's like a gay myth, because just nobody has read this book. It's such a fringe book. And then to take these 2 authors and to say that they are the ones that built the radical gay agenda. The truth is, in the 1980s and the 1990s, the radical gay agenda, even that terminology, was put together by the Moral Majority, Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, conservative Christian family groups. They're the ones that created the gay agenda. If you ask even 100 gay people what the gay agenda is, I used to have this thing where I'd go to gay pride events or events where there'd be a lot of booths with GLBT people behind them, and I'd just walk up to the booth and I'd say, "Excuse me, do you have a copy of the gay agenda?" And they would look at me like I was crazy. It was a joke. It got to be a joke. But what most gay people want is they just want equality. They don't want gay rights. They don't want special rights. They don't want gay marriage. They don't want special marriage. They just want equality. There's a really funny sentence in Mr. Brown's book. He says, when asked about the gay agenda, he says, no one seems to admit to this gay agenda. And he says, ironically, when it comes to denying the existence of a gay agenda, there is immense unity in the gay community. Why? Is it because the denial of that agenda is part of the agenda? Think about that. That not only is there a gay agenda that gay people don't know about, but they've been all told to be quiet about it and not talk about it because that's part of the gay agenda. Okay. So chapter 7. Speaking the unspeakable. It should have been completely unspeakable. It should have been kept that way. This is a chapter where Mr. Brown starts and ends the chapter with saying, Michael Brown is not equating homosexual practice with pedophilia. Michael Brown is not calling all homosexuals pedophiles. And then he takes the next 40 pages and tells us about NAMBLA, man-boy love, Pedastry, he talks about all these things, and what a great technique. He's saying, I'm not saying that this is the truth about homosexuals. What I'm saying is, if we allow homosexuals equality, then it's going to be the slippery slope that people that want to marry young children or have multiple partners, they're going to be the next ones on the docket to want their rights too. Well, first of all, what a horrible manipulation to take 40 pages of man-boy love and pedastry. See, I hear the word so few times that I can't even say it. I mean, it's not a word that I ever hear my friends talking about. It seems to only be conservatives that talk about this man-boy love stuff. But what a wonderful manipulation to talk about this thing so that some people just naturally take the two issues and kind of duct tape them together in their minds. And I'm telling you that they do, because I get their mail. I've done a pretty complete review of this book, and I will get mail about how gay people are pedophiles. So they've definitely taken this 40 pages of a book and they've glued it together in their heads. So I don't care if you start the chapter with a statement saying, I'm not saying this, and then you end it by saying, I'm not saying this. The 40 pages in the middle, they do a dang good job of saying it. So I just think it's just a really manipulative tactic. And I think it works, because I know that your readers have written to me, or Dr. Brown's readers have written to me, and they've duct taped it together. Chapter 10, oh my goodness, one of the most offensive chapters in the entire book, Queer Theology. I don't know where he found these people to quote. I don't know who some of these people he quoted are. I've been working pretty intently in this arena of gay Christians for 10 years, and not once did Mr. Brown go and visit any of the reputable people within this dialogue and discussion. He didn't go 2.5 hours up the road to the headquarters of the Gay Christian Network, which is a home to 20,000 GLBT Christians and their allies online, and have a conversation with Justin Lee. He didn't go to Yvette Flunder, who is the bishop overseeing 30 gay black churches. He didn't go to Todd Farrell, the head of the Evangelical Network, which is over 50 GLBT affirming organizations, or talk to Troy Perry, who is the founder of over 300 gay affirming churches, the Metropolitan Community Church. He talked to very odd fringe people. I could find odd fringe people within the heterosexual Christian community that wouldn't reflect who I am. Their views wouldn't reflect my views. You can't go to the fringe and say that these are the typical. That is just the fodder of abuse and misabuse, and just marginalizing people, just painting them into freaks. I mean, he talks about cruising prayers as if they're ever spoken of the people. I mean, I'm sure I could find one, but is that typical? Absolutely not. And then he talks about some people that have these fantasies about being penetrated by the crucified Christ. That is so explicitly absurd. It is so offensive to say that this is queer theology and this is what gay people think about their relationship with Christ. They think about their relationship with Christ the same way straight people do. It's just that their sexual orientation is different. Their relationship with Jesus isn't any different, or the Holy Spirit. It's a spiritual relationship. It's not a flesh relationship. I know over 1,000 gay Christians, and their relationships with Jesus and the Holy Spirit and God are exemplary. So to have this painted as a typical reflection of what the queer people think about God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit is just completely, absolutely absurd, and it's incredibly offensive. It's abusive of misinformation. There are so many people out there that are educated and fine representations of queer theology, gay theology, just theology that sees a different point of view, and those people weren't spoken to. Chapter 12, the ex-gay movement, fact or fiction. Fiction. You can talk to anybody go to the Exodus offices, who are at the pinnacle of the Christian church, of the reparative therapy movement, and just ask them, if we come and submit to this program, will you tell us that we can change from homosexual orientation to heterosexual orientation? And no one will say yes. There are the founders, some of the ex-leaders, some of their authors, some of their trainers, some of the people most involved in their live-in rehabilitation programs. All of them have come out and said there is nobody, they know nobody, that's like nobody, that has changed from homosexual to heterosexual orientation. Sure, people can go through programs and they can act heterosexual. They can be bisexual when they started the program and just limit their public or obvious attractions to the opposite sex, or they can choose to be celibate. That does not mean that people have changed their orientation. So Mr. Brown aligns his theories with Nicolosi, and as far as I'm concerned or know, Nicolosi's not even invited to some of these conferences anymore. He's too radical. Or Narth, and he quotes a lot from Narth. Well, last year George Reckers was who was one of the founders of Narth, was caught with his rent boy, his gay partner. So, people can try to hide, but you cannot change from homosexual to heterosexual. You can't change from heterosexual to homosexual either. So bottom line, would I ever give this book to a gay person? Absolutely never. If I did, it would be the last book I ever gave them within relationship. It is that offensive. Look at that cover. My goodness, I do not think in the over 1,000 gay people I know and the hundreds of times I've been in situations where I've been in overnight facilities, conferences, homes of gay people, have I ever seen a gay man that I know walking around in his pink mules? Never has happened. So I don't know what that's about. So I would spend my time. It took me a significant amount of time to read a 700-page book, including all the footnotes. I would spend my time in befriending a gay person, and I can understand that this is a very, very difficult topic for some people, especially the people that are followers of Brown. I understand that. 10 years ago, if you had asked me would I see a gay person in heaven, I would have been very polite about it, but eventually I would have told you the answer of no. And what happened is, just through relationship and through being around the gay community and then around the gay Christian community for the last 6 years, I have a real understanding of where they're coming from. But to be an advocate, the thing I had to do for myself was I had to pick up my Bible, and I had to pick up a concordance, and I had to study those verses in original language and in context. Very important in context. Who's being spoken to? Which people in which state of their spiritual status is being spoken to? What are the consequences? What do the words really mean? What does abomination mean? What does sodomite mean? What does man abusing himself with other men mean? What do these words really mean? And when you go back into the original language, I think you might find what I find is that I've been told something wrong for several years. And I think the gay community has been much maligned and much made the target of people like the moral majority of the 1980s. And we are still living out the consequences of people making up stories and manipulating things about a people group just so that they could gain more power and money into their coffers. I mean, these are honestly facts. And once I got in relationship and I had to check this stuff out for myself, I came away with a completely different point of view. Almost everything I would have believed about the gay community 10 years ago, I believe the opposite now. And that's through relationship and through my own Bible study. So I encourage you to do that. I have plenty of things on my website where I talk about what my view of the verses is, but I would encourage you to do that for yourself, because we're talking about 5% of a population. That is very significant. Jesus said he left the 99 to go after the one. This is the 5 in the 100. And I don't think that we should believe what's presented in Brown's book. This is a very fearful, very negative picture of the gay community. And I think it's very damaging. And for a Christian to be doing such damaging, non-loving, non-compassionate works against the gay community, I think is just it's just a shame. So I would encourage you to go to canyonwalkerconnections.com and read my review of the book. And I'm sure a lot of Brown's followers will give me flack, because I'll tell you, some of the worst mail I get is from that segment. I can tell where the letters are coming from when they refer to certain things. So, try at least to be kind, to be polite, to act Christ-like, but engage me. And often I will just point you to something I've written, because I may not have all the answers, but I've got a lot of responses. In 10 years of working in this, I've come against most questions. So again, a queer thing happened to America. Read my review. Don't spend the 30 books and the however slow or fast a reader you are time reading this book. I suggest you go engage someone in the gay community and find out they're just like you. And on my website, there's welcomingchurches.org, and it's a list of over 6,500 affirming and open churches in the world. Check them out, go be in community, and don't be surprised if when you get in a faith community with GLBT believers, that the same Holy Spirit that's in you will resonate, because it's the same Holy Spirit that's in them. So I encourage you to do the work for yourself, not believe everything that's in this book, and not even believe everything I say. Go do relationship, go do your own Bible study, be an excellent follower of Jesus Christ, and see where that brings you. It's an interesting journey, so I suggest to you that you check it out. Thank you, Kathy with CanyonWalkerConnections.com. Bye.